that. My name's John Spitzberg. On Sunday, at the Wall Street Cafe, a new work group is starting. It's a work group dealing with senior citizen issues that pertain to what we in Occupy movement are all about. And if anyone is interested, you don't have to be a senior citizen, but it was formed by 5 of us, actually 6, and I guess the average age is around 50-something. And we believe that there are many issues related to what everyone here is interested in. We will meet at 12:15 at Wall Street. Please feel free to join us. And if you have issues, please bring them. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tembi. I'm from the facilitation working group. And we've been working so hard on this proposal that we've been bringing to the GA, and it has to do with a new model and way of making decisions that we have been calling spokes council, but it may also be called coordinating council. We haven't decided about that yet, but I just want to let you know that on Thursday, we will be talking a lot about that in General Assembly. So please, if you're in working groups, encourage your working groups or all of you to come to that conversation. We need your input. Thank you so much.
When is it?
Thursday GA.
I'm going to take off my facilitation hat real quick and mention the Survival Skills Work Group. We are underway of creating a date on which to meet. The Survival Skills Working Group is pretty much going to teach survival skills in urban areas as well as the outdoors. And essentially and eventually we will come up with what's called the survival group, which is like if shit hits the fan, excuse my language, but if it hits the fan, we can all get together and create a flash community to support each other in like a oh my god situation. So we are currently underway, and it might look like we are going to have our first meeting after Christmas because I'm going away on the 17th. So I'm sorry. Well, that's the Survival Skills Working Group, and now I'm back to facilitating. Are there any more working group report backs?
Yeah, I got one. I'm just going to represent the communication working group. It's sort of headed by Rosetta in a way to take back the Twitter account and get actual news broadcasting to Jackson. There's going to be a meeting Monday to be posted online, so look for that. And if you're interested, it's pretty much welcome.
Okay, so quick report back from finance. I've got something to get consented upon, and it's going to be an agenda item, but it'll be a really quick one, the disbursement. And then finance still has the same amount of money. We haven't done any fundraising, although that's in the works. And then, yeah, that's pretty straightforward. We are seeking currently to find a sponsoring organization for 501c3 status. We've had a number of people come forward saying that they want to make donations of larger quantities, but they're not willing to do it unless it's tax exempt. So we are working on that. And there's also a space right next to Firestorm that a bunch of us are working on trying to get a hold of for community activities. It wouldn't be camp or anything, but it would be Occupy and other community organizations to come and use it for meetings and stuff, painting banners, flyers, whatever. I think that's it.
My name's Martin. We're putting together a press release for, this is a suggestion that I got, and there was some momentum behind it, so I think we should definitely do it. But putting together a press release to promote the bank transfer day and the transition of a lot of money in accounts towards credit unions away from major banks. And if you could put me in contact with anyone who has done that sort of thing, or either quote or anything like that, that would be very appreciated.
Are there any other working group report backs?
Kitchen.
All right.
I guess food group kitchen's been closed down.
There you go.
Heads up.
That's it.
Okay, are there any general announcements of any sort? John, I think you had one. Did you want to announce? Oh, okay, cool. Does anybody have any announcements? Okay, well, I'm going to announce something. I'm just going to take off my facilitator hat again. The NDAA, the National Defense, I can't remember the other two.
Authorization Act.
Say what?
National Defense Authorization.
Yes, the National Defense Authorization Act has actually been, like, okayed by Congress. So this is, like, not good at all.
Means the Bill of Rights are pretty much.
Yeah, essentially, if people actually, like, know a little bit about history, and when it comes to how Hitler gained power, this is kind of, like, actually one of the main moves he did, was he kind of passed something along the lines of the entire country is a battleground, and we have all rights to arrest anybody, however, whenever, like, by any means, for as long as possible, and so forth and so on. So, if, to get more information on the NDAA, just Google NDAA, and you can get, like,
NDAA or NDDA?
whatever it is.
NDAA.
NDAA, yeah. So, yeah, just Google NDAA, and you can get more information on that. So, that's just my answer. Yeah.
And the president only has, I believe, 10 days to veto it. Is that, anyone know that?
I had read that as well, but I don't know how accurate it is.
Yeah,
Congress passed it 93-7, which limits the White House's ability to veto that bill.
That's unfortunate.
I don't think it's White House red.
Okay, on sort of that note, this morning the UN Free Speech Council declared that the United States is violating our First and Fourth Amendments, and they're actually drafting a letter demanding an explanation. The first step towards actual sanctions.
What's the UN going to do without the U.S. military?
Just as an example of how this kind of plays out in real life in Cobb County, Georgia, they now have reported that they have an amphibious tank as part of the
Yeah, they have the armored personnel carrier actually right on the other side of that.
Yes, and the Pentagon is ponying up supplies to interested municipalities, and so we just need to support our local municipalities in not becoming a terrorist military organization.
Okay, now I'm putting my facilitator hat back on again. Oh, yes.
It's going to be $25.
Almost there! You had an answer?
Well, I was just going to announce the fact that the City Council of Asheville had just adopted a brand new council this evening. Vice Mayor now is Mayor Manheim, Vice Mayor Manheim, and Terry Bellamy as mayor. That's the first time two women have been historically in the position of mayor and vice mayor at the same time. Because of that kind of uniqueness, I also just got through pushing up there and meeting with them the subject of public trust. And they're wanting to have further discussion on that consideration from this organization of what that's about.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go into the agenda items. So far we have a camp discussion on there. It was brought up to my attention that Ryan had a proposal that needs to get.
Okay, so the crew that went to New York got held up for a day. They had all budgeted money so that they could survive in New York, but then, help me with his name. Dude who got arrested, Joshua, got arrested for a longer period, so they went over budget for legal reasons. So they're asking. We don't have a legal working group, so otherwise I would go to them, but we just don't. So I'm coming to the GA. They've asked for a $60 reimbursement for the money they spent in staying there for that extra 36 hours or whatever. Just cost them some extra money. Can I get consensus to disperse that?
Who's asking for it?
It's Caleb, and it's going to back up.
So first we're going to have some just clarifying questions, and then any discussion if we need it. We'll try to keep the discussion to a limit, and then we'll go to say consensus.
Yeah, so anybody questions? Yeah.
You said we don't have a legal working group?
I mean, we do, but it's very informal. It's really an arrestees working group, so it's not like a legal council in the sense that it's just not a body that makes any decisions about money.
This is a GA question, I guess.
This is a GA. It's a GA question.
And there's not an existing policy for distributing money.
Yeah, they are allowed and empowered to, but they don't need to, so they haven't. They don't need much, so they haven't. But we've got $1,000 legal fund that they don't need. So this is.
That's only really to get arrested.
Yeah. Yeah, mostly being. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to know.
You are that person.
Yeah.
Just to clarify, the gas wouldn't be so much if, if we were able to go back together, it wouldn't have been a problem, because we had anticipated having spent that much money. It was on the road when he had to say, and this is like in your defense, that one person doing the gas, I imagine she spent way more than $60 in gas, and that's what she's asking for. So I think it's just, and we were anticipating maybe thinking about asking for gas because we were down 2 people, but we decided not to. So this is for Becca. If it's for Becca, then I'm up for it.
Cool. Okay. Any other questions? I'm not really the person to answer questions. I don't know. I just have to.
Yeah, I can answer any questions.
Are there more questions that we have from anyone else?
One point of information, the GA has already approved the funds for legal. The GA can draw funds from that by the financial policy you already have.
Any disbursement I make, the financial agreement that we passed a week ago, any disbursement that finance makes has to be passed before recognized working group. And again, finance hasn't, it's just, again, it's not really anyway, all I'm saying is the GA has to pass this. I can't disperse any.
That's why I'm saying, you have the policy in place, the GA has to pass it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
I agree, I didn't understand what you said.
So are there more questions before we ask for consensus? All right, so now we're going to ask for consensus. So this is what happens at consensus again. We're going to go like this. If we agree, like, yes, this is consensus, I agree with that. This is, no, I totally am not into that. This is, I'm not quite sure. This is, I stand aside. I really don't like this personally, but I'm not going to block it for the whole group. And this means, no, absolutely, I will leave the movement if this passes. All right, so we're going to ask for consensus. What do people think?
Thank you. Cool. Done.
People are into it. We have consensus! Woo! Yes! Better go team! Yeah! Okay, so now we're going to the second part of the agenda, which is camp discussion. It was brought to our attention before this meeting tonight that there's been a lot of interesting stuff happening at camp, and so we want to open up a conversation about perhaps some problems that are happening at camp, some solutions, and also what people would like to have happen at camp. And so what I would like to ask, if it's okay, and I'm sorry that this conversation is more geared towards people who have been camping here a little bit, but we also appreciate anyone's input on this. We're actually going to, I would like to have a go-around discussion about this. And
Sorry, we're still missing some key players who are running late, like Glow Lady and Anna. So if maybe can we is there's another proposal or agenda item to squeeze it in? No, this is all we got. Cool.
Yes, before we jump into that, we don't have any other proposals.
I got one. On this. On the camping situation.
On the camping. Proposals need to be given to the facilitation team at least try to before we start facilitating. We don't know what it is you're about to say, and we're about to have a conversation about it. Maybe, how about this?
How about I bring it up as a conversation and not a proposal?
Awesome.
All right.
Okay, so let's do this. There are a lot of people here, and if everyone here even speaks for 2 minutes, that's an hour. That's over an hour-long conversation. So I just want to bear with us. Please bear with me in this conversation because it's a really important conversation that needs to happen. How to work out some serious issues. And then we don't have any other agenda items, so this is the last agenda item for tonight. Can I just get a vibe check on this conversation happening? People are like, yeah, I'm totally into this conversation. This is like, no, I don't want to talk about this. What do people think?
Lies.
This is a lie.
Right. So people are into this, and I'm sorry. This conversation does marginalize people who are coming for the first time, and I'm so sorry about that. But please, we are so happy that you've come. So thank you, and please participate in the conversation as you see fit. And so I'd like to start out just by hearing from some of the campers. So if we could please, the direct occupants, if the direct occupants can kind of gather in this general area, and then we'll start just going this way. And so this is a taking turn conversation. So one person speaks, and there's no crosstalk. When one person's speaking, and we'll limit each person for 2 minutes, so we can try to hear from everyone. So one person will speak, no one else will speak, and then the next person will go. And we'll go around like that. So let's listen to each other. Let's get something out of this conversation so we can learn and grow as a movement.
Please respect the speaker.
All right.
Okay. So real quick, every time we move to a new spot, it takes about a week to 2 weeks before we have all the belligerent, drunk, uncivilized, unruly people move in and overrun us within just a matter of time. They always do. There's only 2 or 3 options on the table to figure out how to deal with these people. One is to call the cops on them. 2 is to get in a direct physical confrontation with them, trying to get them to leave. That's how it always turns out. Or 3, we pack up and leave and just leave them to deal with their spot, and that always breaks them down early. That's kind of like a mid-proposal too. Like that's the only way I see to do it. I don't want to call the cops on people because that's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to babysit drunks and people who can't even take care of themselves either. So I suggest that we start thinking about plans of moving every few days. They can't keep up with us when we do that. That's all I have to say, really.
I always love and support the clarity that Rob just presented. Those are the keys to this idea that you can branch it off into. I am against leaving camp because I feel like this is a base and a foundation where our community can reach us, and it's a really excellent place visually to be next to the supposed source of our government. And if we could lock it down perhaps and make it a private party, I think that might help sort of isolate the variables, remove the party element. And I totally love and support the foreclosure camping, but I don't think we should lose ground in order to expand that way.
I've been to 3 big cities, D.C., Boston, and New York, occupying. Kind of came to Asheville thinking I get a nice break. And I see, unfortunately, the same internal struggles here that I did at the bigger cities. And it's tough because the options were a peaceful movement. So you want to avoid the physical confrontation. You don't want to have to call the police, and ignoring it certainly doesn't solve the problem either. But some solution does have to be reached. And again, I don't like the idea of moving the camp continually either, because this is an excellent location in which to be. You get the mayor walking by here every single day. It's a powerful spot, and I would like to maintain that. At the same time, we are the 99%. We're an all-inclusive movement. But we're here to help people. We're not here to enable people, and we have to instill. I'm against prohibition laws of any kind, but anybody that's here has to ask themselves, why are they here? Are they here to support this movement, or are they here to get drunk and high and party and key off a railing and full plain view of people leaving City Hall and down in the parking lot? Are they here to yell and swear at people coming by? And kind of digress real quick before I stop speaking, but that's another issue. When people go by, get a job, get a life, or whatever. Well, screw you. That is not the correct response, in my opinion. They are not the enemy. They are future recruits. Responding that way, it does not help us.
So that's kind of a side issue too. But again, I don't want to leave the spot, but I think something has to be addressed in which to stop the influx of crime and drunkenness, etc.
Evan, I think the net result, the net outcome of this camp has become negative, period. I think we have no realistic enforcement method except to call the police when people get drunk and belligerent. They can't be reasoned with. We have to physically remove them or call the police. There's not really any other way around it.
Which is going, I'm sorry to interrupt you, which is going to result in someone getting their ass beat and having a huge, confrontation with the news.
Which almost did several times yesterday, okay? There were multiple, very, very, very close calls between major, fisticuffs between several individuals. And in my head, the camp itself, the actual occupation, serves one purpose only, to show that we're not going anywhere. And I think as long as we're able to project the message that we're not going away, I think that's really what we're after here. I think our daytime activities are far more powerful than this will ever be. Our direct action is way more powerful than the camp itself will be. And I think we need to move the camps towards foreclosure camps. I think we need to have the official Occupy camps be a foreclosed house. Being on private property will make it a lot easier to control the situation.
I feel that if you're going to be here at the camp, you have to join a work group. And if you don't join a work group, you can't be here. Because if you're not serving any kind of purpose except for eat our food and shit all over the place, then you're not helping anybody.
It gives you more time to drink.
It gives you more time to drink.
So, I really like this talk a lot. I think that as each time we've moved, we've evolved a little bit. We've learned a little bit. We've become more structured, more organized. These situations aren't as common as they were at the other camp spots. I think that a huge contributing factor to this is what we keep around us as far as donations and food. I think a lot of these people come here because they seek safety. They seek comfort. They say, I can pitch my tent amongst these people. I have food every day. I have more time to think about getting drunk in here. I think that that's a huge contributing factor, and I think that communication and being able to resolve situations more readily is lacking.
I camp a couple nights a week every week. I think that it's essential that we stop taking donations at the camp and sell community cooking. There are 3 options that are basically on the table about basically we can pick up and leave, we can deal with it with the police, or we can just remove them. Those things are very extreme. There are subtler things to do, like stop enabling them. The physical occupation through encampment has been called into question not because of the nature of occupying public space, but instead because of vagrant, belligerent people who've made camp unsafe, undesirable, and a major liability. We are faced with enemies from within, and the Art of War, Sun Tzu outlines non-confrontational strategy in facing this type of enemy. The best way is to cut off their food supply and destroy their resources. I believe this strategy should be considered as our next step in dealing with the problem, which has plagued us as a group, and the movement across the country as a whole since the very beginning. That is why I think we need to come out with a statement that runs something along the lines of, while the public has been extremely supportive, the People's General Assembly of Occupy Asheville, due to an irresolvable situation with vagrants disrupting the productivity and safety of others in the encampment, ask the general public of Asheville to stop bringing donations of food and clothing to the encampment and instead participate in a new Adopt an Occupier program. This program will create an accountability on an individual level for those people who utilize the wonderful donations that the public has been so kind to donate, and we need to stop enabling individuals who grossly take advantage of those wonderful donations. It's not an actual resolution against drunkenness at camp, but it's going to stop enabling people to get drunk on their now extremely expanded free time because they're not having to search for food, clothing, and warmth.
so we're still going around. If we can just continue the line of people who really want to continue to speak on this topic, please just line up here, and we'll continue the conversation about it. But please keep it really on this topic of the direct occupants and the situations going on now.
My name is John Spitzberg with Veterans for Peace. Back in Lexington, we took on an obligation to be of help in the security of the tent city. There's a meeting going on Sunday that's being led by somebody who's coming back from Arizona, and basically the Veterans for Peace nationally is coming out with something called Team Veterans. And what they're, I believe that's the title. And what I think is happening is that the Veterans for Peace are going to become more active in the Occupy movement in trying to provide a peacekeeping security force for people who live in tents. Now, I will say with the proviso, I think that's what he's going to present to our meeting on Sunday. And what I want to say is this, and this is my opinion, and it's not as a veteran for peace. You cannot have this tent city if you have any toleration, for people who will not become totally involved with the mission, just as the people here, most of them, are totally involved. If you have anybody during the GA staying in their tent, or anybody who decides that they want to party, that needs to be stopped and not tolerated immediately. And this is my opinion. I'm not speaking for VFP nor for the Asheville Homeless Network, for myself. And what I've seen is people just not standing with their agreements, and that's all I want to say about it. It's got to stop now if you want to stay here. And I'm all for helping to the best of my ability, and hopefully the VFP will do the same.
I'm Charlie St. Clair. I just have a question. I saw something recently similar to this. They were talking about what they do in New Haven, Connecticut, and how they cooperate with the police and such, and do not allow people to be smoking marijuana and stuff. You guys look into what they're doing. It sounds like a pretty good model. Where? In New Haven, Connecticut. I'm not sure what the model is, but it seems to be working.
So maybe if people are interested in that, could they see you after?
Well, I don't know much about it. I just, it's just something that I've learned about recently. Yeah. Just thought I'd throw that out there to look into.
Along with what Matthew had said, I think there are some subtle things that would at least help. And along the lines of not enabling them, definitely having more presence with what I would call peacekeepers. So I did peacekeeping at the Lexington location, and that alone was not enough. But with multiple people around the perimeter of where we are, to meet a problem before it comes into camp. And with somebody with the agreement, there's an agreement written before the camp regarding respect and responsibility, and those need to be given duly to whoever comes here. Yeah, and I'm sure that problems still arise. Yeah. And these people, it's the way you mediate a problem is really important. So everybody has to react in a way so as not to escalate the problem. And peacekeepers should be trained in that. Now, peacekeeping was talked about a long time ago. And as far as I know, myself and Anthony are peacekeepers. And I don't know about many other people. Kevin. So I would like the peacekeeping group to get together and have a meeting, talk about our code of conduct and our role, and just be here all the time. So I've moved here. If this is where we are, then I'm here. So that's my proposed solution. Regarding foreclosures, I think we need a longer discussion talking about the consequences and how it's worked in other cities. It could be a good idea.
Are there other people who still want to talk about this topic? Just continue to line up here. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm Sonny. I like what Matt brought up. It sounds like it might be a helpful aspect of trying to keep the occupation together. And as an added idea to that, maybe what could be done, have food donations still come, not to here, but to the kitchen, or still operate, they're going to be kept. Kitchen is closed. No more
because
kitchen.
it was violated by somebody who was part of this that just joined the food working group and they said they could sleep.
So
overnight, so is it overnight. There is no kitchen anymore. No, it's also someone that's actually
all right, well that's a different situation. I won't speak that. But when somebody new arrives, do y'all have a process of recognition and talking to them and all that?
It doesn't matter. That's just a piece of paper. They're not going to follow the rules. They're going to sign whatever they have to.
Yeah, but when the time comes to
kick them out,
and you show them what they've signed,
They resist.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm going to come in here a little bit. So we're not trying to have a conversation quite yet. If you have something to say about the topic, please say what you have to say, and then the next person can go. We may decide that we really want to discuss this more as a group as well. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. So we're going to try something new. We're going to have our first ever call-in participation right now. And so someone's wanting to speak from the phone. So I suppose you could just announce yourself and say what you want to say for 2 minutes or less.
And do it as loud as you can.
We'll do a mic check.
Can we do a mic
This
check?
is Venice. Can my voice be heard?
All right, we'll do a mic check. I'll do it. Mic check. Mic check. Sorry I can't be there in person. However, my daughter needed me this evening. I want to speak to the safety and hygiene of the camp. Last night and several nights before this, there have been continued violent incidents in the kitchen that Rosetta was kind enough to provide us. Was once again treated disrespectfully and left in a state of filth. I have done everything I know how to work with all parties concerned to keep people safe. It is my personal feeling that this encampment must represent us well, and at the time it is dangerous, unclean, unsafe for women and children, and this has been the case
at every encampment so
far. To continue this irresponsible behavior in OA's name, can you say that again? Makes us all look bad and puts the entire local movement in danger. That's all.
thank you, Venice.
Thank you, Vic.
All right, so the next person whoever is next in the little line we have happening can.
I'm going to take a little bit of time on the subject of encampment.
So we all trying to do 2 minutes or less, just so you know.
point of consideration here is getting the level of trust, not only among the encampment occupiers, but also remembering the people that are here of GA, trusting you, and you trusting us, as well as the public who are watching us. There is the ability to respond. We're creating the very same framework of self-governance that this country's gone through before. Remember that. Understand those things.
I'm James. I just have a couple of questions. Do we have any way of telling who the supporters of OccupyAsheville are, as opposed to the people who are raiding camp? And two, where are the raiders now? When do they come? Is the physical presence of this crowd deter them or what?
There might be maybe more of a conversation. Can anyone answer that very briefly? Did someone get that and can answer that?
You can tell who the supporters are that camp here by their actions. You can tell people who don't support the occupation by their actions as well.
So we know who to pick out.
And it's been done. Everyone has been listening Saturday. And that problem is already being addressed. People are not here any longer, and that we're part of the problem. It's working on it. I don't think we should go the baby out with the big one. Go back.
All right, so let's continue on the stack that we had. So before anyone else speaks again, is there anyone else who hasn't spoken that would like to speak about this topic? I know, I see you. Okay, so now that everyone has had a chance to speak, perhaps I'm trying to figure out what we can do best with this time. I just want to see, do we continue to want to have a conversation and a discussion about camp? I just want to get a vibe check on that. This is like, yeah, I totally still want to talk about this. This is like, I want a different topic, now I'm very bored. So where are we feeling right now? What do we want to talk about? This?
Yeah.
Okay, people are into it. So let's stay in it more. And so now we're just going to go on stack, and we'll try to have some room for conversation if it allows and it's appropriate. But we're really trying to eliminate any crosstalk that happens, and only just try to be mindful of everyone else around you during the talk. So, okay. I saw your bit.
Yeah, I was going to say that there's an endless supply of these people. I mean, as we kick them out, more people are going to show up. It's going to continue to happen over and over and over again until we create a camp situation that we're able to regulate. I mean, anybody that's driven around downtown Asheville knows that there's a never-ending supply of people that will come here and cause problems. When they come to Asheville specifically.
He's taking this back now.
I'm the expert. All right, the amount of energy that has been put into trying to keep the camp sane and civilized is tremendous. It is not possible to keep camp civilized. You don't know what it's like dealing with one crazy drunk that comes in here, let alone 5 to 10, all in one night, all the time, constantly. It is not possible to maintain any camp. This has happened at every single encampment we've ever had. Lexington, the Fed, Merrill Lynch, it all moves with us after about a week. We cannot maintain camp in this kind of, in a good standard, representing Occupy Asheville's name at this rate. We have to do something else, and there's no way to regulate it unless we have to start calling police officers every night. Do we want to do that? Do we want to try and do that and actually, like, physically try and remove people? You can't physically remove drunks without getting in a fight. It's impossible. That's why it goes unregulated here. It's impossible. I am not interested in camping in OA anymore in this spot, for example. I'm interested in moving around every 3 or 4 days, doing the foreclosed protection thing. That sounds good to me. I am not interested in babysitting people here. I left my warm house to be out here. I'm not interested in babysitting. I propose that we start thinking about packing up camp and making process to occupy foreclosed homes or different bank spots around town.
So we'll continue with that.
Oh, I'm sorry, one last thing. And the kitchen last night was raided and screwed up again by somebody from this camp. It's the second time this has happened. It was a kitchen donated by Rosetta's that was torn up and messed up by the people from this camp, exactly. People who don't come to GA, people who just come here to party. That's all.
I think it's a huge thing of personality. The fact of the matter is, they are going to continue to follow us. However, I don't think it's impossible to deal with. I mean, there are all different types of people out there, all different backgrounds, all different personalities. They're going to come in here and do what they do, whether they sign an agreement and we try and do something. I think the biggest thing is conflict resolution and communication and knowing how to deal with this, and also people being responsible and sticking up to the roles that they're playing. I mean, if we have 5 here, or peacekeepers, is that what they call them? Peacekeepers here, and if we have people watching the kitchen constantly, if people can maintain their shifts, do what they're supposed to do, I think this can be taken care of in a humane manner without having to involve government, without having to keep moving. I mean, we worked really hard to get here. We've evolved a lot. We've learned a lot. We have a lot more structure than we have before. It would be a shame to lose it with something like this, which is going to continue to plague us and follow us. We need to learn conflict resolution and how to deal with these situations and deal with these people in a proper manner.
Just to briefly, I thought Matthew might still be around. He did mention something of like a public denunciation of saying that this was not a safe place. And I agree that it has not been a safe place. I think it's a bad idea to make a press release saying that there's, you know, lack of public safety here, because one of the provisions that would help us get this park is time, place, and manner, which involves public safety. So I think that it would be wise for us to just deal with it and not release that we can't control what's going on. Even if we're saying that it's vagrants, not us, I mean, that's that point. Another point is that I like the idea of moving from place to place, but I have an affinity for this place because it's in front of City Hall and because of its proximity to the park. I think if we want to liberate the park 24 hours, that justification for that would be a presence here, which could be as minimal as 1 or 2 tents with information. That would be just enough to be here, to show that we're not leaving. And then anything beyond that could be foreclosed homes, the banks, anything. But I do see value in keeping a presence as close to the parks as possible.
My name is Laura, and the answer that I see is through outreach. And what I keep on coming up against is that there are people who really want to be a part of Occupy, but they don't know how to all of a sudden just step in when it's, you know, we've already had our trigger event and we've been working on this for a while. And so maybe having some sort of event or something where we can do like Occupy 2.0, where we're like welcoming more people to be a part of it. And if we have more people a part of it, we're changing our numbers and we'll have a different kind of demographic who are here with us, helping us keep this place drunk-free.
I got out of line in the stack, but I wanted to contribute something. I'm not sure where stack is now. Go ahead. I just wanted to let you all know, I really like the idea of like peacekeeping teams, and if we had a group of people that were willing to be here at set times for the purpose of, you know, not only doing direct peacekeeping, but also supporting the campers in, you know, their methods of peacekeeping and in their, you know, nonviolent crisis intervention, working on agreements with the police that, okay, if it gets to this point, we will call you and we will need you to come and back us up. I think that a lot of the problems just with having those things in place, set people, set support, set protocols, I think that a lot could be prevented. Basically, I mean, I know that, I mean, I definitely am willing to step up, and I've offered this a lot, and like definitely, please use the resources.
2 points. There's no way to keep peace or make peace with belligerent drunks that have lived on the streets for years. It's just absolutely not possible.
But I work
okay, those people cannot be reasoned with 90% of the time. I'm telling you what I've seen here in camp. They cannot be reasoned with. The other point, I am sick of people that don't camp knowing what's best for the people that do.
I say we get cattle prod.
Let's continue with Zach.
I have one call on Zach, and you should go first and let them go.
Okay, Victor, we're up. Hold on.
What did I miss?
All right.
Whoa, hang on a second. I'm sorry. I thought he was pointing at somebody else.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. I apologize if this is a little bit muddled, or maybe if people have spoken this already. But my greatest concern with the camp, and I'll admit that I haven't been here, and a lot of what has happened is partially my responsibility and my fault because I haven't been here to help you guys out, and I apologize for that. But it seems like this is a trend throughout all of our camps. And I'm wondering, at this point, if it is, in our best interest, if it is really necessary, if, the things that we're trying to accomplish are in line with holding a camp together when all of these, really amazing, really intelligent, really good-hearted people who are trying to do this are just expending all of their energy into trying to keep so many people in line that really don't have that much to do with the message that we're trying to send to the average American, to the people who are trapped in their car work schedule over and over and over again. It seems kind of a shame to me that we spend so much time discussing the campsite, and someone pointed it out to me earlier today that a camp is just one of many, many, many tactics. And when a certain tactic fails to serve your purpose, even if it did in the beginning, if the movement evolves to the point where something that we are trying to do is obsolete and we are just it's sucking out so much of our energy, do we really need to continue with it, or can we sort of evolve? Can we choose different tactics? Can we, help our community? Can we, reach out to common people and, do more in such a larger way instead of trying to, keep this all together, which is, really, hard to do, apparently. I think that a phrase that would be good to keep in mind is the phrase spring offensive. It's not cold yet. It will get really cold really soon. And what is happening in a lot of different occupations all over the country is that, that they realize this too. And and the basic idea is just to collect ourselves, to sort of step back and take an objective look at what we have done so far, which is a lot, and to sort of see where our weaknesses are and where we can shore up these walls. We need a system of accountability. We don't have one. We don't have any way to deal with people who are causing problems aside from making them leave. We don't have any way of making people answer for what they've done. And, I'm sorry. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm doing this again. This is Victor on the phone. He's going to be on speakerphone. Instead of doing mic check, I'm going to just repeat directly what he says after he says it so we can get it done a little faster. Did you hear that, Victor? All right, go ahead. I think it is important for us to remember that occupation is a means. It is not an end. What we want to see is critical mass, whether that means occupation, direct action, or welfare. These are all just means to an end. Personally, I believe that it is not in our best interest to continue this occupation. When I hear these horror stories day after day. Can you say that again? I have a quote with me from Luna. Say it again. She's visited us once. She's with the outreach group in where?
New York.
In the New York General Assembly. She said, although it is sad and infuriating that the occupation was evicted, I feel that it is also a great opportunity to re-strategize. Something that has happened at Liberty and in Boston is that a lot of energy is being poured into disruptive members of camp and how to deal with them, with little left over for direct action or other strategizing. This is from the New York General Assembly. I don't want this to continue to the point where somebody gets hurt.
Somebody already has.
It's already bad for all of us. Or that would be very bad for all of us. So I personally am not at the opinion that this occupation should continue. I don't think we'll be running with our tails between our legs. Or that the people will be with themselves. I have to tell you to wrap it up. Did you hear me? I have to tell you to wrap it up soon. If we decide to what? If we decide to pull. That's it. That's it.
I've heard several kind of solutions touched on here that haven't really been enacted. Well, someone vandalized the kitchen. I have ideas of who that might be, but I don't want to speak. I don't know. I don't have any facts behind that. But fine. Meals are at a certain time. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner is here, here, and here. Great. What working group are you with? Here. Have that. Winter is coming. It is going to get cold. A lot of people are the disruptions are going to come out here because they're not committed to the movement. They're going to rather go to the homeless shelters wherever they go during the winter. I camp in single-degree weather all the time. I'm an Appalachian trail hiker. I love it. I can handle the winter. That's not a problem. The tent that was the main source of the problem yesterday is now gone. It's been pulled down. These problems are being addressed, and I just want to reemphasize throwing the baby out with the bathwater is probably not the best solution. And I find it a little disturbing that the majority of the people, it seems, that are for pulling the camp do not camp here.
So there are a lot of things that need to be addressed other than whether camp should actually exist, and that is strategies to save the camp. I think that the occupation is a means, yes, and it is a very strong means in keeping us united. Small little goals are what get General Assembly, like this great discussion going on right now. This is what unites us, and it's important to keep these sort of things going. We have evolved. We had our first actual community of, we had two on the same day, two great community events. We had a youth future Occupy thing, and we helped build a playground, for God's sakes. We're going to keep doing things like that, and that's not going to, nothing is going to distract us from that, whether we have to deal with little problems at camp or not. And really, it should be the campers that deal with problems at camp, in my opinion, but I absolutely understand that the problems at camp are
facade for Occupy Asheville. And if you have a dirty, disgusting, problem-filled facade, then you look bad to the public. And there are things that worked on Sunday. The People's Mic, getting the drunkards out of here, it worked. I mean, yes, it only worked for 24 hours, but it didn't get done 24 hours later. You know, it worked and it didn't get repeated. And that, to me, shows just a basic problem in we're not actually utilizing the tools that we know work. That's all.
That general mic thing didn't work the next day.
Yeah. So, what I was thinking is that maybe, I feel like most of the interaction we have with these people is late at night when they come back to camp and are extremely intoxicated, but maybe it would be to our advantage to, in the morning or sometime before, nighttime, before they get too intoxicated, just engage in conversation with them, you know, see, you know, what's on their mind exactly and what problems are really existing there, and kind of just show more empathy towards them than at night when we're trying to just kick them out. You know, I just think conversation early in the morning is a start.
Actually, you were waiting, and then it's going to be you, and
I appreciate the comments from Luna from the New York General Assembly. They're in a little different situation than we are. They had a lot of donations. They had someone donated actual office space they could use, paying all the bills and so on. A lot can get done when you have office space. And they have storage space taken care of. They have lots of resources to work with. We don't have. We can't expect to get those kind of resources here. So what I'm suggesting is, before we make a decision to break camp, that we take a look at what would be our resources to be able to continue to have some kind of centralized space that we can work out of. Hopefully have some storage space as well. A secure type of location where we could actually do cooking in a building. Keep the riffraff, and I'll use that word because anybody who will trash our kitchen is riffraff in my mind. You know, out of the building. You know, and that we need to think strategically before saying, okay, we give up on this thought, whack, and then we'll see what happens from there. We need to think strategically about if we're going to do that, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm for it right now, but if we decide to do that, how are we going to go about it? And it may be that there are some people who are no longer comfortable camping here at this occupation, and that's fine. Those people can move on to other things. I like the idea of looking into the foreclosure occupations. We should do that strategically as well, see how it's done. It's been done in other places, how we could do it here, work with the neighbors, etc., and get groups of people to do that. But those who would like to stay here for now should be allowed to stay here, not and deal with the occupation as this one. That's just my view from that.
just make sure I have everybody on stack. It's going to be you, and then we still have somebody to say. No, I'm not going to him. I didn't say.
Carla had her hand up after
already.
me.
She hasn't spoken yet.
Good.
You haven't spoken yet?
She's on.
Okay, you were waiting. Did you need to speak? You're not. So, okay, and then
obviously, if people want to stay here, nobody can make them leave, other than like the police. But like, I just want to be really clear that we've tried the People's Mic to get people out. We've tried having people sign an agreement. Barry was here yesterday with me, and Kat and Kevin and Emmett. When there's
4 or 5 occupiers here, and then 4 or 5 people who are yelling at us about how we have to allow their drunk friend who is pissing all over the place and yelling obscenities at City Hall workers and making us all look bad, and we can't get that person out. And there's 2 options. It's going to escalate to violence, or we call the police. And we call the police, and then we're, you know, talked badly about because of that. Like, it's not safe. We've already had one person who was hit by a car. We've had one dog that was hit by a car. This is a health hazard. It is a public safety issue. And it's going to go really bad. Somebody is going to die soon. I have no doubt about that. And it's going to come down on all of us. Somebody is going to overdose here. Somebody is going to get drunk and forget to go in their sleeping bag and freeze to death. This is serious.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do, just so I have everybody, it's you, the phone, and then you, and then you after that, and then...
I think it's important to remember that not everyone was lucky enough to grow up knowing what decorum looks like. And this is a really, really valuable opportunity to empower people. I mean, there have been people come from the streets, come here, become community organizers, make connections, you know. And I think, if we're going to try to deal with this camp, if we're trying to fix this camp, a critical part of it is making some initiative to empower people. That's it.
Okay. I agree, totally. I have never slept here. Let it be known, I have not slept here. But in Lexington, I offered security. I offer it here too, and on Sunday when we hold this meeting that we're holding, we will hear about what the National Office of the Veterans for Peace wants to do, and it has something to do with offering peacekeeping. Have you been getting it too on the email from Ken? Okay, so James and I are both Veterans for Peace. I can't speak for James, but I'll speak for myself. Damn it, I want to see this stay, and the reason I want to see it stay, quite frankly, is because it is an example to these people who work in this office building of how important we believe this is. But folks, I know I disagree with some people here, but I will tell you, the minute you hear noise in a tent that, in your opinion, is partying, God damn it, excuse my English, it is time to go to those people and get them the hell out of here. They don't belong here because they're not here for the mission. And that's what I've been harping on. And I don't think it's because of old age. It's simply that I believe that how the hell can we call ourselves Occupy Asheville with a mission if we allow for bad behavior? It is wrong. It is dead wrong. So thank you. That's all I have.
Yes. Just so everybody knows, I'm personally going to recuse myself from I'm going to stand aside from any decision that we made here because I also feel like the occupier safety and considerations we've heard this evening should bear some weight in this conversation. And likewise, I'm concerned about not only our overall strategic direction, I think that we need to really bring this movement into the realm of connecting with and being very visible in the lives of poor and working people across this city that we live in. And while I understand the importance of a public presence, we need to consider that that's public and that we are projecting that image to people. And I likewise have concerns about people's either safety in the cold or safety from violence on the street. So I trust you to make the right decision.
Okay, I had a phone on stack. And so
okay, phone's on stack. Ready, Kelsha?
Kelsha.
This is
Dennis's daughter.
Dennis's daughter. Kelsha, are you ready? Can you speak as loud as you can into the phone? I'm going to let people see if they can hear you, and if that doesn't work, I'll speak for you. So go ahead. Wait, I'm going to have to speak for you. Go ahead and speak. Mic check, side sentences. Mic check. Mic check. I am Kelsha. I'm a child. I'm 13 years old of the movement. I love this movement a lot. And it's becoming very scary. I do not go down to camp unless I'm with a very trusted adult. Because it scares me down there. It's very filthy and violent. I've had good times at the camps. As well as bad. But I've never been safe. I wish that we could all come together and put our energy. Say that again? Where children can participate. Is that all? Can Vina speak?
She has to get on stack.
Yeah. Stack thing again.
The phone is not a person.
Put me on stack.
So I have you, and then try to talk about. It's my turn to speak. One of the things that I want to really get across here is how we coordinate this together with the city. The city has what's called community-oriented policing protocols, which do not fit the needs here. And I have been talking with them about redeveloping community-oriented policing protocols that works with we the people in this occupation. We need this camp process to function, and the idea of having peacekeepers and the Veterans for Peace, if they can work with us doing that, can be a very key component of rebuilding the relationship.
Part of the 99% too. I mean, at least that's what everyone keeps saying. So also, and to get off a little bit off the subject, personally, I feel as if people do call in and we allow them to get on stack, that we should have a live feed of Facebook and have everybody on Facebook able to be have a voice in General Assembly as well. And since I don't see that being feasible, point made. Thank you.
I guess I want to bring up the proposal that we try to form the camp in a different way and reconnect with some of the ideas that were brought up in the beginning, like about Native support and that sort of thing, that got somehow disrespected and lost along the way. I think that if we can connect to that, we can connect our roots. If we can build something that's prideful, like a community house here that is still not a structure, then that key involvement, people who want to camp cannot camp with us if they don't go to GAs and they don't do working groups. That would limit every single one of those community partiers. And if we can give that a try, and just like say like a week and see if that restructuring can bring out some positivity. I would love to see community and student sessions about that.
Just more on the line of solutions there. Somebody had brought it up. I guess it hadn't been implemented yet, but yes. Donations, clothing, money, otherwise, not at this location. Also, I mean, a working relationship with the police, I think, here is wonderful. I was in New York. They don't beat you and mace you here. It's wonderful. And I guess they are part of the 99%. And the guy that started the trouble yesterday by teeing up the railing, the police came, they did their jobs, they put him in the drunk tank for the night. And now he's no longer here, nor is the tent's been struck. We're working on solutions. It's going to get better. And I want to make a big change here, and the only way I'm going to be able to do it is with an Occupy Asheville. I got a few signs out over the past few days. I'm going to have them on both sides of every single one of these posts. I've had people come by. I've had conversations with people that aren't going to go to a meeting group. They're here from out of town. And I talk with them. And I create change. And they bring that home with them. And it spreads. So just to everybody to go back in their little groups and hide still. I don't mean to belittle anything. As a matter of fact, let me make that a point. There's no one part of this movement that is more or less important than any other part. Some of them may have issues. Let's find the solutions. Again, I got to say it a third time, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I think it's very important to maintain our presence here and to make it a good presence and an effective presence that will bring about positive change.
What I believe one of the agreed upon general agreements states something along the lines of we will not denounce other members of the 99% to police and such authorities. I think we need to remember, if we're actually working at building a world alternative to this nonsense, we have to act as if they don't exist. We have to make that safety in our community. That's what public safety means to me personally, and that's what I'm about. I don't want to have to start going and crying for the police to solve our problems for us. I thought this movement was about how we were not going to cry to the government and the power structures that is to fix our problems. They're doing a wonderful job on the climate. Hunger strikers are killing themselves hunger striking in California right now as we continue to incarcerate more and more people. So this system has failed. We have to make a new one out of its ashes.
Okay. I completely agree with Noah, except we are still in this system, and you have to use the tools that are around you at the time. Even if those tools you're going to throw into the fire at the end. And the fact is we are not in anarchy right now. And as much as we try and live out the ideals of governing ourselves through basic consensus and basic support from our community, we are failing at achieving our goals. And with the emails exchange, we really need to look at how much distrust we have for this city and for the Asheville Police Department, because a lot of that distrust is completely unjustified. At least it was in the beginning. I really feel like we have a new city council that's meeting for the first time, well, the first public meeting next Tuesday. And we need to go to city council with the acknowledgement that a lot of shit went wrong, and we want the city's help, and we have a new city staff that can help us. If the police were to enforce the basic public safety laws here as they did everywhere else in this city, we would not have public safety issues here. That's all there is to it. And it's something that the police feel they cannot be here because it's like walking into our home. And the police aren't going to walk into your home because you're being drunk and obnoxious unless somebody calls the cops on you. I don't want to have to call the cops on drunk, obnoxious people. But the fact is the police station is right fucking there. The fact that they're ignoring really blatant problems here says that the police have taken a new route, and they're not actually being supportive of us at all. They're not protecting public safety. They're not doing their job. And I think that so long as we are not living in anarchy, which we are not yet, that we should possibly embrace that. Means. Sorry.
As an occupier from day one, we have the same problem here that we had when we started on day one on Wall Street, and that was the alcohol. That is why every camp that I have been at, I have been saying no alcohol in camp, no alcohol in camp, no alcohol in camp. You know, there are some people who like to drink. I can't say that, hey, you know, you're not allowed to drink because that ain't cool either. You know, we've tried to say, take it out of here. We tried to say, come in, help me. We had a problem last night. We had people come here. We had people sign agreements. And then later in the afternoon, they're sitting in their tent and they're drinking again.
was no respect. Last night it escalated again. I wasn't here. Someone saw a problem, called the police. I'm sorry, but we do have a very good working relationship with the police. If you would have said I was going to be working with the police, 10 years ago, it's like, forget it. I did not have a very good working relationship with our police officers. Right now, we do have a good relationship with them. When they came down here, I questioned speed drinking in public. No, it is against the law. Nobody is supposed to be drinking here. But then they also said we have to police our own. I went looking for somebody to bitch slap somebody because I know that it's not violent, but if we're going to have people who are being, I want the problem taken care of. I do not want alcohol here. Alcohol is going to ruin it, period. That's a period. No alcohol in camp. That's the only problem that really we have had. If we do not have alcohol in camp, there's not much of a problem, period.
I guess what I was going to say is that it was kind of in a direct response to what Noah was saying, and that, yes, we shouldn't call the police on our own, but when people, when people are can't handle the situation, when people aren't willing to step up and actually do something about it, how are we supposed to expect to get things done if nobody's going to sit there and actually enforce these ideas that we're trying to, put forth? And so, to me, that's we kind of had to, call the cops in that situation. Granted, I'm not for calling cops, but when the situation dictates, it's necessary at some point. And also, in regards to them allowing us to drink right in front of City Hall, they want us to do that, man. They want us to put forth a bad front. They want us to be a bad public front. That's why they're not doing anything about it, because it's like that's how they want to be portrayed. And then we're gonna have that, so it's just gonna take people to step up and say, hey, we are gonna police ourselves. And yes, we can say that we're gonna do that, but who's actually gonna do it, and are we gonna do it? And that's the point that I'm trying to make. So
can I propose a restructuring working group that we can have a meeting about tomorrow and brainstorm solutions and work together to build something that is better than just what it is every time? Is that
pertaining to this issue?
Well, so pertaining to all the issues and the branches of these issues, this isn't something that I can foresee us. This is going to take work. This is going to take time, and we have a lot of different things that we need to do in the campaign arena, and make sure that they are all held and supported.
So I'm going to just come in here real quick, just as a facilitator, please. That's a suggestion for additional discussion about this topic here. I just want to first say thank you so much for all the conversation we've already had about it. We have done such a good job so far. So I just before we move anything else, I just want to say that thank you so much. And it doesn't have to be a proposal that we consensus upon, but I would like to just get a vibes check on that idea. If people are into meeting, hey Jess, what time? Maybe time and the place tomorrow?
Yeah, here. What time is good for everybody? I mean, is it morning soon more convenient?
Can it be after 4? Can it be after 4?
Fine.
6? Same time as the GA? We don't have a GA anymore? Or is there other meetings?
So I'm just going to get a vibes check. 6 o'clock tomorrow here, additional conversation about this topic that we don't finish tonight. Are people into that? People not into that? Okay, people are totally into that. So that's happening, and you have support from the group about that. So we'll continue to go on stack about this.
Okay, are you ready? Am I good to go? Okay, you're on speaker, and I'm just going to directly quote what you say.
Who is it?
I can't repeat it.
Say who it is, and
This
it'll be
is
Mike.
Bennett, by the way, and I'm just going to directly repeat what she said. I want to address two specific comments. First, to speak to Barry, or speaking of what Barry said. Thank you for being here. We appreciate the new energy.
Thank you.
I am for the disbandment of camps, and I am one of the people who does not camp there. However, I am directly involved with meeting needs of people who do. The reason I am for disbandment of camp is because I cannot participate safely with my child at this time, or at any time during the last 4 encampments. Despite countless hours of trying to fix it. Second to Dr. Milton and what he said, our relationship with the city will be nothing but negative if they find a corpse in our camp, or if they are to find the filth sitting in everyone's tent right now in this moment. I will not continue to participate with Occupy Asheville if this encampment is continued to allow. To operate as an unsafe and unclean thing in our name. That's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know, it's like it doesn't look dirty
I
here.
do want to say
that,
even
though it was raining.
I just want to come in here. Let's stick with Zach so we can all hear each other.
I do want to say at the Lexington location, initially we thought that we would only need 2 security people because there was 2 ends of the parking lot, but then we later discovered that because that location was exposed on all ends, that it was not that easy. This location is a little different, but I would say, and this is for everyone else to make that judgment, that 3 people would be a minimum for encountering problems before they reach the campsite. So, yes, it's hard to tell drunk people to leave, but it's a lot easier if they haven't even come here yet. So I would say at the stairs, at that location, and here would be the minimum for peacekeeping. And that might help people feel more safe. And if they're drunk, they're turned away.
I do think, in direct response to that, a lot of people come sober to get drunk. A lot of people come sober and get drunk like that. But what I was going to say, and this can actually possibly be put upon what Jess was talking about as far as the meeting. I guess just kind of is a suggestion, but we can talk about it later. I think that there needs to be a mandatory occupiers meeting where we can bring up these issues, have a few representatives from GA there to hear it, and, keep the communication lines there. But I think that we need to have a mandatory meeting and really have a system in place. Because we do have people that are filling these roles. We do have people that are peacekeepers and security and things like that, but there isn't a system. They're not here constantly. There is no structure to this role. So I think that needs to be discussed. I think further action as far as how to keep this going needs to be discussed when everybody is here as far as the occupiers go. And so I'm just throwing that out there. We'll talk about it later. I'd really like to get together with some of the people here that are really into that and formulate a time for this meeting if we don't want to do it tomorrow at 6, which is what Jeff was talking about it a little bit.
Yeah, thank you. I want to clarify before I make my comment. If you're suggesting not extraneous people who don't live here. You're talking about people who live here.
Well, yeah, and people that don't occupy are welcome to come, but just having for the occupiers a mandatory meeting.
Of
So
course.
we can all be together. If you're occupying, you have to be there. We have to figure out what roles can be filled.
Okay, I want to say one thing that I think some of you may have, Barry may have alluded to, and let me do this way. If Kendra were to have a cardiac arrest today, I would call EMS. If all of a sudden there was a big fire here, I wouldn't have a doubt that all of us would agree. Call the fire department. They got an engine and they got a truck, and they come a running. I don't see the police this is me talking. I don't see the police being any different. It's what the police do and how they do it that is the issue. And in this case, from what I understand from a lot of you who live here, you're living here, the police have been pretty kind. As a matter of fact, that was kind of what I heard, I think, Glow Lady say. So my point being that the cops are useful for making security and safety happen if it's needed. And if we can't do it ourselves, they're the ones. It would be the same thing. You put out a fire here if it was just in the bush, but damn it, you have to call the fire department. Same thing. I'm a paramedic. I can do small things, but if Kendra has her cardiac arrest, I'm calling 911 to get her to the hospital ASAP. And John, you're the medic guy, but wouldn't you do the same thing?
Yeah,
right.
I know you're speaking for the rest of the medic group too.
Yeah, you're damn right. And I'm a paramedic and a nurse, and I'm telling you that I call them ASAP, even though they're government, and they are government because they get paid by this building and by this building. But thank you. That's all I have to say.
Okay. So while it seems like a good idea in the general point of view to call the police since they're needed, I've wanted to call the police a few times myself. I guess it's the thought of people being arrested at Asheville Occupy on a daily basis for drunk and disorderly just wouldn't look so good in the news. Maybe that's what bothers me about it. Or, the fact that so that gives you the other option of physically removing people. You know how you do that without getting in a fight? It takes about 5-6 hours, about as long as it takes for someone to sober up. That's how long it takes to get rid of somebody without physically kicking the crap out of them and dragging them out of here, because that's what it takes to get these people out. And since we've never done that, we get to listen to people screaming and fighting all night long. No one gets any rest. People get pissed off and leave the movement. I've watched people fall by the wayside because of this, because nobody here does want to do what it takes. And in this case, this is a surrender to win. I say we surrender up the camp and start moving around. We'll still have all the same amenities and probably have a better time and easier time doing it, feeding less people that actually care about the movement. I don't see how we're going to call the cops and dirty Occupy's name on a daily basis, possibly with 1 to 2 people, 3 people maybe, if we start calling the cops all the time. Or second, we're going to have to get in fights with people to get them out of here. There's no way to talk to people with general agreement, come up with strategies that are going to get rid of them. You have people coming in here that are great and awesome at first, and next thing you know, they're hitting the bars and they're coming back slammed. They're your friends now, and you've got to deal with your friend who's slammed. Nobody wants to beat him up and get him out of camp, but that's the only way to do it, or call the cops. There's a no-win scenario here. I've been dealing with this for 2 months now. You don't know what it's like to try and tell people to leave and then get in your face and tell you to fuck off. They're not doing it. What are you going to do now, bitch? There ain't no way to deal with that. I say we move around every 3 or 4 days, hit different spots. We can even come back here in a week or 2. They can't live without us. They can't live without food. The camp set up. And everybody who's serious can follow with us. Pick up your bags. I move my stuff every day because it'll get stolen if I don't. It's not that difficult to move a few blocks every other few days. That's it.
Okay, well, I don't camp here personally. I just can't afford to. I run 2 businesses, so I'm kind of house-stricken at the moment. But I still think that maintaining the camp here would be outstanding because of the location. I mean, it's prime real estate. It's amazing. Right in front, it's like spitting in the city's face every single time they go to work. I mean, that's kind of getting our point across every day. With that being said, I do think that the Veterans for Peace and what they might be offering would be most beneficial to the camp itself. I mean, personally, I have like training from the Marines that I can actually bring to the camp and teach everyone at the camp, hey, this is how you secure a location, or this is how you deal with certain situations. I could even show everybody, like, or people at the camp, certain things to do to subdue a person without causing severe bodily injury, as well as detain somebody. I don't understand why we can't have the ability to detain or make citizens arrests. Along those lines, if we have the ability to make citizens arrests, we can police ourselves and not have to go to the police. We can bring them straight to the police precinct and be like, hey, we're doing your job for you. You're welcome. And that's just my other outlook of it. That's the flip side. So, thank you.
I have a suggestion that I would like to get a vibe check on, based on the fact that I think this has been a really long conversation. I think we need to wrap it up soon. I think it would be a great idea to have another meeting continuing this conversation with people who are really interested tomorrow at 6 p.m. I think it would, in a movement like this, where as many times as something like this has happened before, this is a new thing, we have got to try things and then also set up a system to check it, reevaluate, and change it if it doesn't work. I think what we could do for the time being is, A, make a call for everybody who gives a shit to camp. Okay, we can't enforce drunk people when there's 10 drunk people and 2 sober people. The last time I was here, that was literally the situation where I walked in and there were a group of people drinking, and I was like, I feel super uncomfortable because I'm sober and I'm being harassed and I'm leaving now. So if we call and people actually care enough about continuing this occupation to come out and camp for a few nights, then we can set a precedent. If you're a belligerent, you're not welcome here. And like John was saying, we can do a training to help us be able to deal with that. I think we could also set up an agreement that in a week or a week and a half that we reevaluate it. Did it work? Did people actually show up in camp? Did we manage to end the belligerent drunk people here? If not, we talk about dismantling camp, moving it, doing something else. But I think we could at least give it a shot of calling to every working group, sending out emails saying, hey, we really need people who care, who can come to camp and help enforce what we're all about, to be there. Because it is true, we are in front of City Hall. People come into work every day and they have to see us and they get to hear what we have to say. But if there's nobody here who has something to say, if it's just drunk people, then that's totally missing the point. So if we really care about a physical occupation, we can save it. We can totally save it. We can camp. But there has to be enough of us who do it to feel comfortable camping here, to feel like we can actually have people leave. And we definitely need a peacekeeper situation like Kayvon suggested in place, and we could come up with that at a meeting tomorrow.
I just wanted to second what John and Elizabeth both said, that this is just prime real estate. And we have, the mayor, I was here today, and the mayor walked by, or in the middle of a discussion, and you can't get that type of front anywhere else in town. I think this is just a great spot, and we need to keep it.
I was wondering if anybody in that announcement to call for everybody to come camp when they're able to come camp, if anybody has a tent or sleeping bag that's sitting in the back of their closet, I would be here on the nights that I could, but I gave that shit away a long time ago to people that use it more. So if you have, just extra stuff so that people don't, look at their stuff and be like, it's 30 degrees, I don't have gear. That would be awesome. I would be down here with that support.
I kind of want to respond to both of those things. So I think, I camped out for a month and a half, and I'm not camping now because, quite frankly, I don't really feel safe here. And, we've been asking GA members to come camp with us for months. We can have meeting upon meeting upon meeting, and we keep asking, and it's not happening. It hasn't been happening. So, honestly, at this point in time, I just don't have a whole lot of faith in the GA to show up and back us up. And in response to that, the gear, I wouldn't want to give up my gear because I think it would end up here having urine and feces and vomit in it.
to make one clarification?
No, we're just doing.
In regards to the giving us a bad name, and speaking with Officer Brown, they do understand that we are trying to have a no alcohol, no drunk policy here. So in his speaking, he had said that he would make a note if there were problems with the alcohol that the people arrested were not a part of. And he said that he would put that in there. So a lot of the problems that we're having is who's speaking to the people. I'm just down here since Friday camping, and I've had people come to me and tell me that they've come here and that nobody greeted them. No one talked to them about anything. They were in a circle and they were ignored. That was one of the main reasons why I came out here, because I heard it was turning back into Lexington. It's people coming. If you are, come here and talk. There was a bunch of people who had just come here and just to talk. That's a big thing. Yeah. You don't have to come to camp. I mean, there's not a whole lot of people who really want to camp out in the rain and sleet and snow. If you don't want to camp, it's no big deal, but that doesn't mean that you can't come down here at other times besides the GA. Just to come down here to talk to the people who are walking by. Rush hour time is fantastic. Just to say, hey, have a great evening. That is as simple as that.
I wanted to respond to what Anna said. I think the difference between this call for people to come camp and all the other previous times that we've tried to do something like that is that this is the first time that there has been a really large discussion about straight up dismantling camp. And I think if we frame it in a show up or camp is going to get dismantled because we can't handle it anymore, that might get people out. I'm not necessarily saying it would work, but I think it's worth it to try. And I think that it's different to say, hey, we just really need people to camp, and to say, come camp or there will be no camp.
Yeah, I've come a few times, and I was looking, like she was saying, I was wondering where someone was to greet whenever people showed up. Because I was looking to come up and extend my hand to someone and say, hello, my name is Chris Loamy. I'm just coming to share my support and see what's going on and gather some information about what people were talking about. And I was wondering who there was. I was walking around and people were looking at me like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? And I'm like, not here to bother anybody, I swear. But I didn't even know who the heck I was supposed to, you know what I mean? Like, I was like, well, who is kind of, you know what I mean? I was like, I didn't want to just walk up to some random, I certainly wouldn't approach a woman. I certainly wouldn't do that. But I didn't know who I should speak to because I didn't want to be creating distrust by just walking up like, hi, I'm Mr. Personality, forceful person trying to walk into the middle of your thing and force myself on you,
I'm sorry, I'm just going to come in real quick. I just want to say that everyone who's new, you are most welcome. You are so welcome, and we're trying to be more welcoming.
Right. Right. Yes.
Yeah. Just speaking to that, Chris, thank you for coming and making the effort, and that's something that the young lady was talking about. And while I think it would be good to have a welcoming committee as such, I think it's something that all of us should be better about welcoming people in. And that means looking to see, if you see a face that you haven't seen before, find out who it is, why are they here, what do they like to talk about, and get the conversation started. Be friendly. That's what we're here for, to grow the movement, not just to be insular. And, so if you find out somebody's just here, seeing if they could just pitch a tent, if they had no good reason for it, then you start thinking, okay, well, maybe this is not the right person to camp with us unless they get it.
So I'm going to come in real quick. I just want to say, anyone else who would like to speak about this topic, please raise your hand now and get on stack. And then I'd like to try to wrap up this discussion, knowing that a conversation about this is going to happen tomorrow at 6 p.m. I just want to get a vibe check on that. Is that okay to do that? We're into that. This is like, no, I want to talk about this all night. So people are into wrapping up stacks. So please raise your hand high if you want to talk, and then, so we have 1,
Okay, sure.
2, 3. Okay, so if you haven't spoken,
No, I haven't. I've been listening to everyone.
You're first now.
Yes, yes.
So then we'll have you, and then you.
Really?
Okay.
You know, in listening to everyone, I mean, something that seems really obvious, you know, and I see the possibility of the camp being disbanded, but it seems like a lot of the energy is obviously getting used at the nighttime when, you know, either people are coming back drunk or they're drinking here, and that's taking a lot of energy to use. And then we have people saying that during the day when people should be more welcoming and, you know, making our presence here. I mean, it's all about the day. Nobody's here at night. Maybe in case this camp does get disbanded, we should really think about making still a presence here during the day and occupying during the day to still make that same point. That's it.
I just wanted to say, if any of you know any other occupiers that you did not see here today, please tell them to be at that meeting tomorrow at 6. We need as many occupiers there as possible. We really need to formulate some solutions for tomorrow. We need solutions.
And is this the first discussion we've had? I've only been here since Saturday, but you said you've been at 4 different encampments. Is this the first type of discussion like this you've had?
No. Well, at a General Assembly, yes.
I think a lot of positive ideas are coming from it. I hope we are able to maintain this. And I got it, and the welcoming tent, yeah, this would be somebody there at all times. So if somebody's driving by, they can come up and feel welcome and talk. And since I've only been here since Saturday, I've already spoken to a half dozen people, a lot more people than that, but a half dozen people, like, what are you all about? Or, you ever heard about Occupy? Oh, yeah, we know all about it. Oh, from watching, and I got in a conversation about 5-6 minutes long, and they left thinking. And again, they take that back with them. So again, meetings and direct actions are wonderful, but reaching out and making our numbers grow is just as important, and I think this location really facilitates that. I had a lady from City Hall today. I won't say her name. She goes, I work in there, and I really support you guys. Just don't tell them. On her way in. I mean, it's beautiful to see, and we can make that grow. We can reach a lot of people in this location. I love it.
Yeah. I haven't been an outside occupier for a good few weeks, and so a lot of things have changed since I've been here. To me, from what I'm hearing, it seems to me that there really needs to be a big talk and a big discussion as to whether OccupyAsheville actually wants to support this physical action. And then beyond that, if it is consensus upon that, because there seems to be a split between people saying, well, maybe the resources for the local Occupy are best served by supporting this physical action. And so I think a big decision has to be made as far as, people calling people and saying, okay, if you want to take part of this decision-making process, can you please be here tomorrow, first off. And then second off, however long we decide to be here, and I'm going to be here tonight, by the way, that as far as for safety, that we do have to address safety as far as actually getting on schedule with people who can actually help and actually decide, like tonight, okay, as far as for safety, because I've heard some safety concerns that were pretty bad, and so there needs to be some sort of schedule or some sort of group that is actually going to support that. And then there was some small needs as far as without there being a kitchen, there was a stove that the group was using that is no longer here. And so if the group is going to be here, we might still need a stove and that kind of stuff. And so I thought that with the structure and integration and staff coordination group, that those decisions were going to, that the brainstorming was going to be had as far as whether or not the actual physical direct occupying is going to be part of the intellectual occupying. And I don't know what the input from that group is at all, but I think it's really necessary for all the different groups to be able to attend tomorrow and for people to call the different people who are inside occupiers so that there can actually be like a focused discussion, and decisions made. And if this group is going to be here, we really need to support this group and create a safe place. Because I think it's valuable, personally, in my opinion. But as far as if the group as a whole is finding themselves unable to support this and all the drama that is accompanied with it, that maybe there needs to be either a split or a decision for those people to just focus their energy on what they're doing and their direct action, and to have a very specific supportive structure to this action within the group, and there may be some sort of specific brainstorming session where people are actually sitting there and figuring out the big decisions as far as that. So, as far as my personal opinion, I think the idea of this is great, but it seems to have turned into something that, without it being supported and being half supported, I think, in ways, there's some reason for that, but then there's not security and everything else like that, that there needs to be a big decision right now whether or not this is going to be part of Occupy Asheville. And as far as safety is concerned, it's a big deal. It really is. And I really think it's going to have a big impact on the group and whether or not a lot of people are able to connect with it.
All right. So that was our last.
The comment is also a proposal, so you tell me.
Okay. So there are no proposals right now coming on in. We're wrapping it up right now. So do you want to say one thing to wrap it up, and then I'll say something? Is that okay?
It's a proposal.
Okay.
Okay. I would love to. If everybody
Can we do a
get
vibe check on the
that, 'cause I would
proposal?
love to hear what he has to say right now. If anybody else can maybe take a minute to hear, if everybody can.
I'm actually going to come in right here. So we just had a vibe check to kind of close everything down. A lot of people were a part of this conversation who felt very strong about what was going on, and now people have kind of gone to different places. So to have a whole new proposal, I'd ask for it to be a vibe check just to get on people's feelings about it. Is that okay? Okay. And then we're going to wrap it up and close out GA and move on to SOPA.
Okay, my proposal is that peacekeeping have a duty from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. broken into 4-hour shifts. So 3 people, and I was just going to get a check. Can I get 3 people that want to rotate shifts tonight? Yeah. So we have at least 3 people. We could probably have 2 peacekeepers from 8 to 8. So, and it's already, into that first shift. So that's all I wanted to know. Can we agree to have this shift for the next week from 8 to 8 to have a peacekeeper, at least one peacekeeper on duty at this camp? As far as for safety, which is good.
I'm going to come in.
We could do peacekeeping tonight and talk about it tomorrow at the.
When we'll talk about it tomorrow.
That works. All right, people. Can we all just come in just like a little bit? I just want to say thank you so much for having this conversation, and I just want to give ourselves a big round of applause. Woo! We did it. So thank you all so much. We still have, obviously the main part about this is that we have not come to a consensus about this. There are some very important issues that are still being discussed that we have not all said, no, this is what we think is best. So we're going to work out the next couple of days, and Wednesday is a very important meeting. Thursday then is another General Assembly where we can make a big decision movement-wide if you all decide that tomorrow, if we decide that tomorrow at 6. So thank you all so much. We're going to wrap it up, and we'll open up the space for soapbox. Thank you so much.
If any of the campers need a ride to the grocery store to do any provisioning, I can give somebody a ride if anybody needs to go and needs to get some food. And another announcement, I spoke at the county commissioner meeting today about the bathroom, and Wanda Green is going to call the head dude tomorrow and see about getting us our bathrooms back again.
would like to say thank you for participating in our General Assembly, especially to those who this is their first one. I